Hello! Today we are here to discuss the very first chapter in the overdue bookshelf series that we've been talking about for probably 2 years, 3 years.
Something like that.
It's way overdue, but this is Wondrous Creatures. This was a Kickstarter that my sister got, and she was able to find a copy for me for Christmas. And she got all the upgraded components she could. I don't think she got everything from the Kickstarter, but she was able to pick up most everything. And it's got, well, we'll get into the quality of components here shortly. But before we get into any of that discussion, you need to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, because you don't want to be late and have penalty fees for being late hitting that button to follow
or miss out on any of the awesome stuff.
Yeah, exactly. We got lots of good games coming up. We've started 2025 out super strong with a lot of good games this year. So getting in now, getting in early is your best chance to catch up on all. Plus, we're getting really close to 1,000 subscribers. We were hoping to hit that by the end of the year, but
not quite.
Didn't happen. But we're getting really close.
We're getting there.
All right. So, Rob, what can you tell us about Wondrous Creatures?
So this is a 2024 release. It's ranked 8.1, which is a pretty good score, and ranked at overall ranking of 1,798. Plays 1 to 4 people in about 40 to 80 minutes for ages 14 and up, which I think is pretty accurate. There's a little bit of meat to the game. It designed by Yam CW, art by Sophia Kang, published by Bad Comet. Now, it's not in stock for retail yet, as we were talking about. Just got the Kickstarter, but I did find some of the Kickstarter versions for sale. eBay has one listing that's on for bid, so it's still got like 5 days left. That's only at $54 right now, so you might be able to get it on that.
Does that include all the bits?
Yes. So that's the only versions you can get. Is the upgrade is the Kickstarter version. But the Board Game Geek, for sure, I don't know about the eBay version, but for sure Board Game Geek, 2 copies, one for 120, the other for 150. Has all the expansions, the upgrade bits that we'll talk about, has everything.
Okay. So, as far as quality of components, the base game came in this box, and then there were 3 additional small book, almost like novellas, that were expansion pieces for this. So they were either upgraded components or additional add-on pieces.
And I think that's everything, because what I've read, there's 2 expansions and then the upgrade.
Okay, so, all right, maybe she did get everything then. But yeah, there's all those bits don't fit real nicely into this box, but you can get them in there. It's just the box is going to stick up a little bit. But the quality of the components is really good.
Really nice.
All of them are screen printed. What's really cool is these captains. They have 3. You have 3 different units, and you get a captain that's not associated as randomly. You can pick between 2 different captains, and the captain has a magnet, so it attaches right onto the ride.
Yep.
And
one specific one out of the 3.
Yeah, of the 3. And then you're going to assign them to different locations on the board, and the captain triggers different abilities once they're unlocked.
And the magnet's strong enough you can actually hold it by the captain and not worry about the mount falling off.
That is really cool.
It is super cool.
And additionally, you've got inlaid boards. They're really nicely cut inlaid boards.
For just the player boards.
There's a little bit of slight warping on them. Not bad,
Not
though.
bad.
Not bad compared to what I've seen. The cards are all linen finished. They kind of feel smooth, but there's definitely a linen finish to them.
There's a slight one to them, but they're not super thick either, but they're not bad.
Yeah, I mean, if you play this a lot, you're going to want to sleeve it probably anyway. I think the only cardboard that you had to keep, and even in the base game, there was only like 3 sheets of cardboard in there.
Yeah, these lock tokens.
Yeah, there's the lock tokens and the tiles to place on the board. Other than that,
everything else is either wood or
they're wood. The
eggs are really neat quality. I like the eggs.
The eggs were upgraded from the cardboard. So were the energy tokens, the nets. Basically, everything here is really well done. I'm struggling between a 9 and a 10 on this one. The board is kind of a puzzle a little bit. It's like 3 different pieces, really. But it's got a nice finish to it. It feels good on your, as you touch it. And
it's not an overly complicated board either, which is really nice.
Yeah, the background is kind of bland, but you know,
it
makes
still
the
works.
land pop.
Yeah, it really works.
So I think I'll go 9.5. I think it's 9.5 to 10. It's somewhere in there. It's really nice.
I think I'm a 9.5. It's really nice. It's simple, but to this point where it's almost elegant in its design.
Yeah.
Because it works very well. It's very functional.
All right. So moving on to the theme. So this is almost Pokemon-esque as far as these creatures. They have these different art styles on the cards that look very cartoonish for the most part.
Beautiful art.
Yeah, the art is very cute and beautiful. You have these animals that are like variants of actual animals or meldings of
and that's
animals.
where it kind of reminds you of a Pokemon because the names are kind of funny.
Yeah.
And, they fit what they're supposed to be describing, but it's not exactly what you would think it is. So it does give you that Pokemon vibe.
Yeah. So those are really nice. All of the animals, the rides are really well done.
Yeah, and it's kind of neat too that other than the purple, every color has 2 sets of creatures that you could be as your companions, mounts, whatever they are, and so you can pick which one of the 2 that you like.
Yeah. So no matter what color you like I play blue. There's 2 different varieties. We gave Miranda the purple because there wasn't any other group for it, and she could play purple. She chose not to, though, because she actually liked the dragons better.
And it matched her player color.
It matched her player color, and there was enough purple on them that she was happy. So, yeah, as far as theme goes, it's a very fun theme. It's engaging with the characters. If you got little kids or kids of old enough to understand how to play the game anyway, I think they're going to have a lot of fun getting involved with this.
Yeah,
game.
and the mechanics fit the theme too, so that's always a good bonus.
Yeah, I mean, you're going around, it's almost like you're doing catching them with nets and such for the eggs, and then the eggs can be hatched and used for abilities. I think because the theme is so fun, I'm going to probably give the theme, I mean, there's not a lot of backstory, there's not a lot involved, but I'm still thinking I'm going to give it a 9.
I think I'm at a 9 too.
So moving on to the rule book, there's actually several rule books here. There's the main one, which is 32 pages in length and matches the cover of the box, and it's it's nice looking, but it's just a kind of a standard finish on it. There's nothing special about the paper texture. The rules, they look like they're longer than they really should be. There's very small print in here because the game itself is pretty simple.
Yeah, it's not tough at all.
There's a cheat card that kind of steps you through the different actions you can take, and this is a really good guide.
Yeah, and it's very functional. It works very well.
Yeah. So the setup on this is pretty simple. You just shuffle the cards, lay them out. There's a few things as far as choosing the bonuses for basically if you're the first to complete certain tasks.
Right, and you have a bag of the different eggs. I mean, that's really about it.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the trickiest part because you can't have animals that are on multiple cards. You have to make sure if you pick this, you pick the first set before you pick the second set, and then make sure you pull out any of those animals that are on the first set, and so on as you go through. And then there's the gameplay goes from page 7 on through page, I think it's 21, I believe, is where it stops. There's free actions. Yeah, it's actually 21. Yep. So it teaches you the end of the game on 20 and 21. But beyond that, it's just teaching you all the different actions and all the different free actions, which we'll go through in gameplay. There is really no confusion in the rulebook. It's very clear. It's a little wordier and longer and the font is a little smaller than I would like. But it's easy to find anything you're looking for. And then there are appendices for each of the animals they mentioned in here. You can go and find those. The other rule books are these 2 smaller books that go in the expansions, and this is going to talk about the add-ons for the expansions, the different cards that were added, and then the different the variants with crew and so on that you can play. So we didn't use these, we didn't play the expansion stuff, but it's good to know there's growth in the game.
Yeah, and I think I could definitely see some room for expansions in this because it was fairly light as far as the first playthrough goes.
This is definitely a light to medium game. And my sister when she got it, she was saying, it's like Everdell. I don't think it's like Everdell really at all.
I mean, in the coziness of
Yeah,
it,
the cuteness of it.
it's like Everdale, but that's about it.
Yeah, thematically maybe, but as far as the gameplay, it's totally different. I mean, yes, you're playing cards, and yes, the cards do different things.
And it's cute.
But the resources are not, you're not gathering resources per se, although you do get them, but they're on your board as just a meter, as opposed to different resources that you tangibly hold. So I can see a little bit of comparison here, but yeah, it's at that level, certainly.
Yeah, for sure.
So as far as the rulebook goes, I think it does a very good job getting you explained. It's a little longer than I would like, a little smaller font. I'm going to go ahead and give it probably an 8.5.
Okay.
All right, so moving on to the gameplay. So at the beginning of the game, first of all, you're going to have 7 different gold cards out here that are, if you're the first to get it, one of the actions you can take as your main action for the game is to mark that you've taken it. And you have 6 different quills that you can remove from your board and play onto these bonuses at the highest level that's available if you meet the criteria.
If you meet the criteria.
But it's almost like an Ark Novus style for these, because you may want to rush to get in there and to get the trophy first, but then you're sacrificing going up and gathering more of them to get to the higher levels, because you have to meet minimum thresholds. So for example, this fish one over here is for having cards or eggs with the fish icon.
You only have to have 3 to get
3, yeah.
But you only get 6 victory points.
Right, but if you get 7 of them, you get 12. So you can...
Yeah, and it's all open. So you could see if other people are trying to get to the same things you are, so that might help decide if you want to rush to it a little bit earlier than you would have normally. And then plus, getting a trophy early in the game does kind of help your play.
Yeah, because it does unlock an ability, not to mention some of the income cards give you additional income if you get 3 trophies or more.
And some of the other trophies are a lot harder to get. So some of them you might really think about, I need to get a trophy now to unlock what they're called your captain. So get your captain ability, and then worry about trying to build up for the other trophies later.
So the various actions on your turn you can take is you can place a crew member. So each of your animals that are in your color represent your crew. Well, you got the one with the captain, and then you have 2 that do not have a captain on them.
Right.
So when I place them on the board, there's land spaces I can place on that are either desert terrain, or they look like forests to me, but they call them mountain terrains.
Yeah.
So if I play purely on a desert, it takes up 2 spaces when I play. If I play it to a desert, I don't have to pay any resources. I can take any additional resources that are touching it, surrounding it, and if there happen to be any eggs on the spaces where I'm playing, I can just pick those up automatically.
If you land on the eggs.
If you land on them.
Yes.
If they're in the water or in a space surrounding you, you can use a net to capture them, but you have to pay the net to do it. So there's ways to get nets back throughout the game, but you have to spend that to get them. So the eggs go along the top of your board, and you can only have 12 during the course of the game.
And they unlock and give bonuses and stuff like that. And the other option is not just to get resources, you can also get cards.
Yeah.
But it's only cards that match the terrain type that you're next to. So you have to be careful, because you got a tableau or a market of cards. So you have to look to see if those cards are even available, because you don't want to waste that turn if there's none of those cards.
Well, I mean, it's not a waste, so you get the resources as long as you hold them.
But you just have, but you pick. Do you want cards, or do you want resources?
Right. So if you've capped out that resource, then obviously you're not going to be able to do that.
And if none of those cards are available, then go somewhere else.
Yeah. So the other thing you can do is you can play either crossing terrains or completely on the mountain terrains. And if you do that, you have to pay a resource. It doesn't matter if you take up both spaces or you take up just one.
And you can pay any one of the 4 resources you have. It doesn't have to be one thing specific.
You just have to give up a resource. And when you do that, you again get to trigger all the spaces that are adjacent to you. As far as resources go, in this case where I placed, there are no resources, but there happens to be a free net and 3 victory point space. So playing there, I would get those instead.
But that's the only reason why I ever went to that spot, though, was that I was desperate to get a net.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why I would go there. Generally speaking, most of the resources you can get on the desert spaces. So you're really only going to go on those mountain spaces if it's just blocked by everybody else,
or if there happens to be just really a good combination of resources you need, or eggs there.
That's true, but there's really it's just not that many in the forest or the mountain sections. It's mostly the desert sections where you get the best stuff.
And then the cards, the next action you can play is up to 2 cards on your turn. So there's a cost on the cards. So the cards have, first of all, there's
a lot of stuff on a card, so you got to pay attention.
They have an animal. In this case, it's a mammal. Then they have resource costs. This one costs 2 fruit and 1 flower. Then they have also a terrain type. So this one is fruit terrain type. And then there's a color bar that tells you what type of card it is. There's 5 different varieties. There's instant, where you just play it one time, get a bonus for it. There's one that has energy tokens that are applied to it, and you can use once per turn. You can remove an energy token and use that ability until it's depleted of its energy. And then there are ways to put energy back on those cards, but they're few and far between. So you're only going to get a limited number of uses of that. There's also, this one's a blue one, so it actually is an ongoing effect. Whenever you meet the condition on it, you get the bonus. There's also end of
you got
round,
red.
Yeah, that's end of game scoring for red. And then there's the yellow, which are income cards that you trigger upon retrieving, which is one of the other actions you can take. Is I'm out of actions, I need my workers back from the board, I retrieve my workers. So we'll go through that in a minute. But you can play up to 2 of these, so you can slow play it, kind of like Terraforming Mars. And you don't have to use both of them at once. So you could play 1 card this turn, and then next round around play another card. However you want to play it, it's up to you what your best strategy is for your particular situation. I know there's sometimes you want to hold out because you're waiting for people to pick up their stuff, and so maybe slow playing will help. Then all these terrains and all these animal types are going to match to these bonuses down here. So the next action you can take is to complete an achievement. That's where you're removing one of your quills, putting them onto an achievement that you've decided you meet the criteria for, and you're at the level sufficient that you want to claim a trophy. When you do that, there's bonuses associated with each quill that you choose which one you want to use, and you'll get that bonus. So for example, the top one gives you 2 resources of your choice. The second one gives you 2 cards from the tableau. You can pick any 2 cards you want. Now they can't be from the deck, it's actually ones that have to be in play. The next is 3 victory points, and so on. There's several different options there.
And then the trophies that we mentioned is actually the tracker in the game.
Yeah, that's the time tracker.
So I believe that there was bonus scoring for trophies. Didn't you have
You get
something?
3 victory points for each trophy by general. But yes, you can have cards that might amplify it as well.
But based off the player count will determine how many of those trophies are on the board, and then that's actually how the in-game activates. Once that last trophy's picked up.
So every time you recall, the next action you can do is recharge, they call it. You're pulling all your workers back from the board. At that point, the clock advances. Now, the clock is not directly the end of game marker,
but it speeds it up.
But it does speed up the game. So as it moves, the first thing you're going to get is a net. You'll get a net every time. Sometimes you'll wipe the board of cards, and sometimes you won't. But you're always going to get a net. And then other
even
times,
better though.
Yeah, every other times, like almost every other round, you're going to then add more pieces, eggs, back to the board. So there's tokens that go on there that you're going to flip over, and it'll give you a symbol that might be a square.
They're just like the eggs that you can get that's in the market, except for you randomly pull these out and place them on specific spots on the board dictated by that token.
Yeah.
And so then, if you're lucky, you can get some extra eggs.
Yeah, so those are basically to replenish the map with eggs once people have gathered them. So the eggs are going to go out there, and you can use the eggs when you get them ultimately to flip over to meet these criteria of these icons. So you can use your card icons, but you can also add the animals from your eggs. When you do, you have to flip them over, and they're no longer active.
But there's lots of cards that allow you to flip them back. Because I got quite a few that, it doesn't matter if it's a flipped activated egg or not. It just says flip 2 eggs and score points.
Yep.
So you can flip them back to the face down side and to be able to reactivate later.
Right. And I had a card that gave me victory points every time I flipped an egg.
Right.
So it didn't matter if it was flipping them face up or face down.
As long as you flip
if I flipped an egg, I got victory point. The problem is if I flipped several eggs, I still only got 1 victory point. You didn't get 1 per egg, which would have been nice. But yeah, you can go through and trigger combinations of things sometimes and stack things so that one triggers another or what have you. And that's nice comboing system they have.
So that's based off the luck. Luck of the card draw.
Luck of the card draw in the play. Well, there's some strategy in getting the right.
No, for sure. As soon as you see it, then you jump on it and get it and build it. But you have to be lucky enough for it to come up.
Right. So gathering the eggs is useful. Additionally, when you play them, there's perks along the way, whether it be victory points or if it be
gives you resources,
cards or resources,
all kinds of cool stuff.
So you want to make sure you get eggs along the way, particularly ones ideally that match to the icons that you're going to be using.
Because really, that's how. If I was able to score most of these cards, it was based off of the eggs and the cards that were in play.
Exactly.
Because those two combined got you up to the numbers that you needed to score those points. Because it's looking something like 8, of a creature type. And that would be hard to do if it's just cards.
Yeah.
So
that's the gist of how the game works. After each round, you're gonna recall. In the clock, once it hits the end, if the track, it's going to start burning trophies. And
every time anyone.
Anytime recall.
So if all 3 people did it, that would burn 3 trophies.
Right, and it's the trophies being depleted that triggers the end of the game. So like we played today, we didn't finish the track because all the trophies went really fast there at the end. So once you start building up, you're going to see like a sudden burst of people claiming trophies at the end, towards the end of the game. So you have to keep that in mind as you're playing and choosing which trophies to activate, because you may not get the full points because people are going to start claiming them. At the end of the game, you're going to evaluate how many points you have on the face value of the cards, because there's victory points associated with each card. Any of the red cards that have the in-game scoring, you're going to evaluate based on the conditions that you've met that you're going to get, and then the scoring on these achievements that you were able to accomplish.
And there's a little bit of scoring for leftover resources, but it's pretty.
Yeah, it's like 1 for every 4.
Yeah, 4 for every 4 resources to 1 point. So.
Yeah, so it's
you're not winning that way.
No. So in general, I mean, it's a simple game to teach. It's not something I think that is, if you're a little kid, you're going to understand, but older children like Sarah, I think would be okay.
I think she'd be all right with it.
She probably wouldn't get all the strategies around it, but she would probably enjoy the characters and so on. As far as a score, I think I'm probably the 7.5. I don't think there's enough meat to the game for it to go higher for me, but I think it's a fun game, and it's certainly something that I think there's enough strategy and enjoyment of the comboing with the cards that it keeps my interest.
I would be there if it was just like me and you playing all the time, but I think this would be one of those really good games to take to your local shop, because generally most people, I think this sits in that sweet spot.
Yeah.
Kind of like an Azul or a Splendor or something like that, where a lot of people would be attracted to it and be able to learn it fairly quickly and adapt to it well. Kind of like Everdell. I think that's where it's like Everdell. It's easy to teach, easy to learn, and a lot of people would like it. Yep. But if you have a hardcore a group that really likes the heavier games, they'll like it 1 or 2 times, but it'll go to the shelf and not come back out. Yep. So it just really depends on your game group. So I think I would like it if I took it to the shop a lot.
Yeah.
But to keep it in my personal collection for just me and my group, probably not.
Okay.
Just because it's too light, but it's a good game.
Yeah. So
I think I would still score it an 8, just because fantastic art, And this would be a great game to take with me to the shop, and I know I would get people to play it.
Yeah, it's going to attract attention just from those pieces.
I could totally get people to play this.
And it's very portable. I mean, this is not bad at all.
It's just a beautiful box.
Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful box, beautiful game. So, I wish it were a little meatier, and maybe the expansions will add a little bit more meat.
And I would love to try the solo and see what it's like. The solo might be really good.
I mean, it doesn't for me, it doesn't have to be super heavy to get my attention. And the card comboing piece does keep my interest.
For sure, and that's the fun part of the game.
I guess I didn't feel like the eggs were taken advantage of enough. They have value in these achievements, that's for sure. But beyond that, you're just they flip and backflip, and there's nothing more you do with them. I was like, do any of these cards consume an egg and give you something? No, nothing does anything like that.
And there's nothing punishing about using them or not using them other than not getting points.
Yeah.
But like if you collected a bunch of eggs and didn't flip them over, it'd been interesting, like something bad would happen or something really good would happen if you didn't use the eggs.
Now, I do like the fact that if you max out, you can still get victory points by taking the eggs and removing them.
Yeah, so it just says that if you fill it up, you'd still get 2 victory points for every egg you can't put on there.
So you're not technically capped.
Right.
You won't get any more eggs, but you'll get 2 victory points as a consolation, which is not horrible. Because a lot of the game scoring, like most of the cards, the highest is like 3. They're not individually. They're not worth.
This is definitely where most of the points are at, and the in-game scoring cards.
Yeah, and the in-game scoring and the achievements, and then there's also a lot of points on those brown.
I did get a lot of points.
You can get a really good one of those
because usually there's no caps on those.
Yeah,
where it says like you get like 1 point. Like I got 1 point for every insect. I had 10 insects.
Yeah.
So I was able to get 10 points, where a lot of them will say you can only get 12 points, but that's it.
But you can only use them once. But there are cards in the deck that let you re-trigger a brown card that you recently played. That's the key. You do have to keep your cards arranged in order.
Yeah.
Because you got to remember what the last one was that you played, so that you know that card, because there's several of those cards in the deck. I mean, not a lot, but there's enough that
you're going to probably see one.
Yeah, so if you really were focused, you could keep that, play that high-scoring brown card and just hold on to it. Not play any more browns until you get another one of those bonuses and score it again, and then do it again maybe. So that would really bump up your score.
Sure.
So you said it. You're giving it an 8. I gave it a 7.5. Yeah. It's probably somewhere in that range, and I think it's a very interesting game, and it is going to get attention, as I mentioned.
For sure.
So
it's very pretty.
Is our thoughts on Wondrous Creatures. So if you've had a chance to play it, tell us what you think.
How wondrous do you think it is?
Yes. If you happen to own a Wondrous Creature.
Yeah, send us a picture.
Yes, we'd love to see it. Yeah, if you got pets and you think they're wondrous, send them our way. Yep. Especially if they're dragons. That would be very interesting.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. That's what I got to play as. The dragons are cool.
So, well, until next time, you guys turn in your books. Make sure you keep them in on time. Unlike our board game reviews of these bookshelf games. All right. Goodbye.
Bye.